So imagine this. You wake up, you make your coffee, you enjoy the sun for a bit, and then you check your phone. You see a notification from your bank that you have $200 deposited there from your brokerage account where your stock portfolio is. You go for a walk and go shopping for groceries. You spend $100. Then you go back and get ready to go to the gym. You spend $15 there. With the remaining 85, you decide you'll go to a restaurant with your buddies in the evening. You get home, go to sleep. And when you wake up tomorrow, surprise, you have another notification for another $200 deposited in your bank account. So everything you spent yesterday is replenished and you can do it all over again without the need to work. This is what living off dividends is like, and it is understandable why it is a dream for many. As a person who has achieved that at a relatively early stage of his life, I can assure you that it is worth the effort and sacrifice. Today, we will talk about the math and science behind living off dividends. You will see why you don't need millions of dollars to invest right now, as a lot of people believe, what different investing strategies there are for achieving the goal, and finally, what you need to do outside of investing to accelerate the process. So let's get straight into it. The first step you need to do is determine your number. The number you need per month or per year, however you want to calculate it, to live the life that you want to live. Obviously, there isn't a YouTuber or a financial planner on the planet that can do that for you. A person renting a penthouse in San Francisco that dreams of renting a yacht will have a vastly different number than someone living in rural Mexico who inherited a house and dreams of spending their days fishing. So whenever you see some YouTuber giving you a magic number, just know that they have no idea what they're talking about. What I will give you is the formula and the principles, and then you can apply them to your own life. So the formula is the number of money you need per year divided by the dividend yield of your portfolio. I know I just said some fancy words here, so let's explain some basics and you'll see how simple it is. First, when you invest in a company, you are entitled to part of the profits the company makes. Corporations often distribute part of their profits to shareholders as a reward, and this distribution is called dividend. The amount of the dividend relative to the stock share price is called dividend yield. If a company gives you $5 per share and the price at which you bought the share is $100, you divide 5 by 100 and you get 5% dividend yield. All right, now that we've got the basics covered, let's go back to the formula. Let's say you decide you need $30,000 to live off, which again, maybe a lot more, a lot less. I don't want to see comments piling up saying, whoa, Ognan, who the hell can live off that? Blah, 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 blah. I already explained that the number is unique to you. Once you decide that, if you know that your portfolio will be yielding 5%, you simply divide 30,000 by 0.05 and you get the number you need right now. And here, a lot of people get confused, discouraged, and give up. The result of that calculation is 600,000. So they think that they will never be able to save that much and quit before they have even started. And I'm here to tell you that you're wrong to give up, because this is not how investing works. It's not how it works. The beauty of dividend investing is that you can invest whatever amount you want and slowly build your portfolio while it's growing on its own as well, creating the powerful compounding effect. So you don't actually need to come up with the 600K right now, or save and wait until you have it, because this is not like buying a house where you either have the money or you don't. Dividend investing is more like buying 2 bricks this month, then 2 bricks the next month, and then by the 3rd month, these 4 bricks give you rent that allows you to buy half a brick without you giving money out of your pocket. So when you buy your new 2 bricks, you now have 2.5 for the month, etc., etc. This is the good news. The bad news is that due to inflation and the changes in your life, the 30K we talked about that would be enough now might not be enough in the future. For example, as I said, I'm currently able to live very comfortably from the passive income of my investments without having to work at all, even factoring the expenses for my son. However, if 2 or 3 more children appear, this would change the calculation and my current passive income won't be enough. But if they appear in 8 years, the growth of my portfolio might be able to cover the additional cash I need for them. At the same time though, inflation will be eating part of that growth. So again, as I said, when you make these calculations, you need to know what life you want to have and also factor in the average inflation rate for the area you live in and project it into the future. Okay, now let's dive into the investing strategies you will be using. There are basically 4 of them, and I will be using this calculator to show them to you. When I do it, remember that I will be using average numbers and nothing I show is guaranteed. Let's start with the first strategy, which is investing for high yield with very minimal growth. We will invest $1,000 every month. Then, because we are choosing a high yield, low growth strategy, I am basing the numbers on several stocks and ETFs from my portfolio that are following this strategy and coming up with these average numbers. We have 2% share price growth. This is the growth of the stock price, not the dividend. Then we invest for 20 years. The current yield on our portfolio is 8%, and the dividend grows at 2% per year. We are reinvesting the dividends back into our portfolio, which means that we are buying more shares with the dividends instead of spending them, creating a powerful compounding snowball effect. And then, because I have no idea where you are, what your situation is, what exemptions you have, or what type of an account you're investing in, I'll be putting 10% tax on the dividends just to keep things more realistic. As you can see, on the 18th year, we are able to achieve the desired $30,000 yearly dividend income, and our portfolio is worth $460,000. Here is where the magic of compounding happens. If you wanted to save enough money to get $30K a year with 8% yield, that would mean you need to save $375,000. Following the same example, if you were saving $1,000 a month, you would need 31 years to do that. And here, by investing, instead of saving it, it only took you 18 years, and not only that, but the end result was a portfolio of $460K bigger than that of $375K you would have saved. This is the power of investing and compounding, and this is why everyone needs to invest regardless of how little money they can afford to put into their portfolio. Now, the drawback of this strategy is that once you reach the 30K, if you start spending all of it instead of reinvesting, because there isn't that much growth in the portfolio, you won't have a lot of cushion if your life gets more expensive, either due to healthcare costs as you age, inflation, children, or a combination of all of these. This is where the next strategy comes in. Let's test what happens with the reverse type of companies, those that grow their dividend a lot, but have lower starting yield. Let's go with 10% increase in the stock price, 2% dividend yield, and 13% dividend growth rate. Now, some of you might start screaming at me that these numbers are unrealistic, etc., but I'm actually pulling them from stocks and funds I have in my portfolio. Some of them are even in my current favorite 4 stocks and ETFs report, which you can get for free by clicking on the link in the description. So these aren't some imaginary numbers. As we can see, here, somewhere in the beginning of the 22nd year, we get to the desired 30,000 yearly dividends, and the portfolio is worth $1,100,000. Now, here we see that the portfolio's growth was much bigger than in our previous example, obviously, because the internal growth of the dividend and the share price was so much larger. Also, here you don't have the problem of worrying about future inflation and increased life-related expenses because you have an internal embedded growth of the dividend. So it would seem this strategy is the one to go with, right? Well, as with all things investing, I'm here to tell you that there is no free lunch and you have some danger in the current strategy as well. The danger is that it's really hard to know whether your stocks or ETFs will keep increasing their dividends with 13% after 34 years. I would actually say that it's impossible to know. And so here you are investing with a lot of future assumptions, which if turn out to be right, will reward you fantastically. But if they turn out wrong, you might get disappointed and your goals might suffer. If you're getting value out of this, please press the like button and subscribe to the channel. It will both help me a lot and also manifest $1 million to allow you to retire way early. Actually, that last part wasn't true, but at least you will not miss any future videos I put out. Okay, so now we know the drawbacks of both the previous strategies. The higher yielding one, not keeping up with inflation and lifestyle expenses once you start spending, and the lower yielding, higher growth one, depending on future assumptions. How about then we try a hybrid approach? Let's have a 7% increase in the stock price coupled with 4% current yield and 7% dividend growth rate. Here are the results. by the 22nd year, we have reached the $30,000 goal we had for ourselves, and our portfolio is almost $900,000. Going forward, we will have embedded growth in our portfolio that will outpace inflation and increase our passive income to meet increasing lifestyle expenses. At the same time, we are not making crazy assumptions about future growth, but also not getting high current yield without any of this future growth. This is my personal favorite strategy and the one I practice, but as you saw, it is not the only one. Because of that, I equip the students in my Dividend Method program, which by the way you can join by clicking the link in the description, with the tools and knowledge to implement whatever strategy they find is the best for them. This is because I believe every person is unique and there aren't one-size-fits-all solutions. However, for me personally, this is the most reasonable strategy that will also allow you to have decent dividend income along the way in case you get fired or you want to transition to starting a business or finding a new job you like and need a little bit of that passive income in the meantime. If we take a look at the three strategies, we'll see that in the first one, with the highest current yield, we get to the desired number faster, but we will have a riskier portfolio, and once we start spending with time, it is very possible to run out of money because of inflation and our own lifestyle expenses. With the second one, that had the lowest yield and the fastest growth, we will accumulate the largest portfolio and also we will have the biggest embedded dividend growth in the future. However, it is a strategy with the most assumptions about the future that might or might not come true. The one that I like the most is the third one, which is in the middle, where we still have the growth in the portfolio and the dividends for the future, but also a decent current yield that allows us to rely on these dividends in times of trouble. Also, this strategy has a portfolio that has a balance of future growth expectations and current profitable and proven companies, which again means there will be growth, but also a lot of present value already, which is proven, not expected. Okay, moving on to the fourth and final strategy. I put it last because it isn't a dividend strategy, yet it is one totally worth considering, and so I would be doing a disservice to you if I did not show it. It is a strategy where you only invest for growth and then convert to dividends. So let's go with the following example. I will put 15% annual growth of the price of the stock and 0 in all other fields. I got that 15% as a rounding for what the Nasdaq 100 returns have been in various periods in the past, because this is arguably the most popular pure growth ETF. Now I will leave aside the fact that it is stupid to put 100% of your money into one ETF that invests in one type of companies in one country just for the sake of our exercise here. If we do that for 20 years, we will have $1,245,000 portfolio. Then we can sell that portfolio, pay the capital gains tax, which, to be consistent with our previous tax example, I will put at 10%, and we will be left with $1,120,000. Then we invest that at a dividend yield of 2.7%, and we will get our desired $30K a year. With a 2.7% yield, you will easily get good embedded growth in the portfolio that should keep up with the inflation and your lifestyle expense increases. Now, the downside of that is that it has huge operational risk. Your growth-only portfolio might be down or flat for years, just like the Nasdaq was from 2000 to 2014, and this will be a terrible time to sell to transition into dividend-paying stocks. Also, if you happen to need additional income because you've been laid off, you will not have it. All right, now is the time to talk what you can do outside of investing to accelerate the dream of living off dividends. There are 4 main things, and I will go over them now. First, it's obvious that if you spend everything you earn, you won't have anything to invest. So literally the first thing you can do is try to cut some expenses. I'm not talking about living like a Buddhist monk here, but perhaps you can skip that Starbucks coffee or bring your own food to work instead of spending $20 each day on that meal. The coffee plus lunch alone can save you $500 a month, which is half of what we invested monthly in all of our previous examples. This is not some imaginary situation. Literally, the moment I stopped ordering meals for lunch a few years ago, my expenses for food went down with $600 a month. It's crazy how some things add up without us realizing. Second, find a way to start earning more from the thing you are doing currently. If you're an employee, take a good look at what you're contributing to the company with. Think of all the ways that your employer's business would be worse off or even collapse if it wasn't for you. Make a detailed report, preferably with numbers. Get your CV in order and check what other options you have. Get your emergency fund ready, which should have a couple of months of expenses covered. Then go into your employer's office and tell them with a respectful but firm voice, listen, I want to continue to be a part of the company. I contribute in this and this way. Your life is better because of that and that. I would like to explore the possibility of getting a raise. Wait for their answer, and if the answer is negative or even worse, disrespectful, politely explain that you have other options, and in that case it will be better if you quit the company, and be ready to actually do it. Remember, no one that goes into a negotiation without the ability to say no can ever succeed. If you're actually valuable to the company and if your employer is a clever business owner, you will get promoted. And if he isn't, then it is time to move on and find a new job. You can easily get the raise, and once you have it, do not improve your lifestyle, but put it all into one of the previous investment strategies, just like we talked already. If you already have a business, identify the bottleneck the business has. Do you need to outsource something so that you can be free of work that doesn't contribute to the growth? Do you need more exposure so more people know about your product or service? If you are tight on cash, can you think of a way to get some customers to pay more upfront or even before you create the next product so that you shorten the cash cycle? These are all questions you need to ask yourself. All right, third, find a side job or a side hustle. In today's gig economy, there are thousands of options and they all depend on your preferences and skills. From driving for Uber to doing freelance on sites like Fiverr or Upwork, you can easily spend a few more hours per day working to make that extra $1,000 that you will then put right into your portfolio. I will get to the fourth option right in a second, but I just want to let you know that if all the investing jargon and in general talk about dividends and money and inflation, etc. is a bit complicated for you, I have a free investing masterclass for which you can sign up by clicking the link in the description. It is perfect to get your foot in the investing world and more specifically, building a portfolio for passive income and achieving financial freedom. Okay, now to the fourth option you have to increase the amount of money you make. It is to start a business. This is how I have made my money that I then invested and which allows me to currently enjoy financial freedom. It has the biggest potential upside, but also is the riskiest part. Here is my warning. If you are not an entrepreneurial type, it could be devastating both for your health and your relationships, so don't do it. Of course, it's hard to know until you start, but in general, if you can't tolerate chaos, if you need absolute certainty and strict rules to follow, and if you feel devastated when something doesn't work for the first time, then building a business isn't for you. And that's okay. There's a famous saying by one of the entrepreneurs that I follow that the 50th man in Facebook is way richer than 99.9% of all business owners. So if you're an employee type, great, do more of that. There is nothing wrong with it, and I'm sick of the business YouTube gurus trying to convince you otherwise. Just remember my previous points about increasing your salary or starting a side hustle. And last, I want to talk for a bit about some excuses people have. I get it, life's hard. You might say that 30K won't be enough. Fine, as I said in the beginning, it is just an abstract number. You need to make it for yourself. If it's 60K, then go with 60K. The higher the cost of living is where you are, the better opportunities you should have. So things are actually kind of equalized, regardless of what people try to convince themselves. And if that's not the case, then move. You have to take this seriously, because if you don't, you will be left with a broken dream and hopes of a bankrupt government pension system to take care of you. And as Warren Buffett famously says, unless you find a way to make money work for you, you will work until you die. So let me know in the comments which of the strategies do you prefer and why. And before you go, make sure you check this video I did on dividend investing and its advantages. It's a long video, but it takes you through all the pros of dividend investing and it expands the topic we already talked about, like the risk of investing only for growth and then transitioning before you retire and a lot of other stuff. Also, remember that all of the results you saw in the calculators are just examples and are not guaranteed returns for the future. Nothing in this video should be taken as a guarantee or a financial advice. See you in my next video.